Have you ever met someone who seemed incredibly kind at first, but slowly made you feel like you were never enough? They smiled at you. They listened to you. They made you believe you could trust them. But as time passed, something changed. You started questioning your own thoughts, apologizing for things that weren't your fault, and feeling emotionally exhausted after every conversation. The scary part is, toxic people rarely look toxic. They often hide behind kindness, charm, and beautiful words. And by the time you realize what's happening, they've already stolen your confidence and your peace. In this video, you'll learn how to recognize toxic people before they change who you are. So what exactly is a toxic person? A toxic person isn't someone who simply has a bad day or makes an occasional mistake. We all do that. A toxic person is someone whose repeated behavior makes you feel anxious, guilty, insecure, or emotionally drained. They often blame others for their own actions, refuse to take responsibility, and slowly make you question your own reality. At first, their behavior can be so subtle that you barely notice it. But over time, their words and actions begin to affect your confidence, your happiness, and even the way you see yourself. The most dangerous part is that toxic people don't always look like villains. Sometimes they're friends, coworkers, partners, or even family members. Toxic people rarely reveal who they truly are in the beginning. Instead, they test your boundaries little by little. It starts with small comments that sound like jokes. They criticize your choices, your appearance, or your dreams, then laugh and say, "I was only kidding." Over time, these small moments become a pattern. You begin to overthink every decision. You worry about saying the wrong thing. You stop expressing yourself freely because you're afraid of being judged. That's how toxic people slowly take away your confidence, one small moment at a time. Emotional manipulation is one of the most dangerous weapons toxic people use. They don't always control you with anger. Sometimes they control you with guilt, confusion, and silence. One day they make you feel deeply loved, and the next day they completely ignore you. When you ask what's wrong, they say, "Nothing." But somehow you still feel like everything is your fault. This is called emotional manipulation. Over time, you stop trusting your own feelings. You begin believing that you're always the problem. But the truth is, a healthy relationship never makes you question your worth every single day. If the relationship is so painful, why don't people just leave? The answer is more complicated than it seems. Toxic relationships rarely begin with pain. They begin with love, attention, and hope. You remember the person they were at the beginning, and you keep believing they'll become that person again. So you forgive, you wait, you give another chance, and then another. Sometimes you're afraid of being alone. Sometimes you worry that no one else will ever love you. And sometimes you've heard it's your fault so many times that you start believing it. But love should never make you lose yourself. The moment you have to sacrifice your peace just to keep someone in your life, it's time to ask yourself whether that relationship is truly healthy. Have you ever wondered why it's so hard to think clearly after spending time with a toxic person? It's because constant stress changes the way your mind works. When someone repeatedly, healing doesn't begin when toxic people change. It begins when you do. The most powerful word you can learn is no. No to disrespect, no to manipulation, no to relationships that constantly make you question your value. Setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's an act of self-respect. The people who truly care about you will respect your boundaries. The ones who become angry when you say no often benefited from the fact that you never said it before. Remember this, protecting your peace is not something you should ever feel guilty about. The strongest people aren't those who please everyone. They're the ones who finally choose themselves. Healing doesn't happen overnight. Some days you'll feel strong, and on other days, old memories will return. That's completely normal. Every time you choose peace instead of chaos, every time you respect your own boundaries, and every time you forgive yourself for staying too long, you become stronger. Healing isn't about becoming the person you were before. It's about becoming someone wiser, more confident, and more peaceful than ever before. One day, you'll look back and realize that the person who once broke your heart also taught you the importance of loving yourself first. Before you leave this video, I want you to remember one thing. You are not too sensitive. You are not too difficult to love. And you are not responsible for someone else's toxic behavior. The right people will never ask you to sacrifice your peace just to keep them happy. Real love feels safe. Real friendship feels honest. Real respect never makes you question your worth. If someone constantly leaves you feeling anxious, guilty, or emotionally exhausted, it may be time to walk away. Not because you hate them, but because you finally love yourself enough to choose peace. Sometimes the bravest decision you'll ever make isn't holding on, it's letting go. And that single decision can change the rest of your life. If this story helped you see yourself more clearly, remember this: your peace is precious. Protect it every single day. Thank you for watching. Remember, the relationship you have with yourself will always be the most important one. Take care of your mind, protect your peace, and I'll see you in the next video.